top of the Panther line. White to the net, shoots, and he scores!
Here's Kachuk, right in, scores! Bolzer's a handoff to Bolzer's, going to the net, scores!
Welcome to SENS Talk. My name is Brandon, and I'm your host. Before we get started, please follow us on Twitter at SensTalk_ for live stream days of the games, and of course breaking news. And on top of that, lots of great content, so be sure to check me out there. Now, before we get started, I want to point out the obvious to everyone listening to this and watching. I'm wearing a Vegas jersey. I got a Stanley Cup Champions banner for the Avs. I got a Bruins logo right there. I got a Calgary jersey right over there. You can't see it in the frame, but I'm going to wear it for the Flames analysis. So basically what I'm trying to do here is say I think the Avalanche are going to win the Stanley Cup. I think they're going to play the Flyers. And my bracket was tweeted out on Twitter at SensTalk_. I'll probably say my bracket at the end of this video. So let's get to the first matchup of this first round of the 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs in August. It's one of the weirdest videos and feelings I've ever had for hockey, but here we are, and it's Philadelphia, a cup contender, versus Montreal, a shocking team to say the least. Coming off a huge series upset over the Penguins, they are red hot, but they're going to run into a red hot goaltender in Carter Hart. So let's take a look at the offense for Philadelphia. Firstly, in the regular season, they were 7th in the NHL with 3.29 goals per game. Montreal, 2.93 goals per game, good for 19th in the NHL. However, Carey Price stood tall in that Penguin series. We're going to get to him in a second. Firstly, on the power play, the Flyers were 14th in the league at 20.7%, while Montreal was not far behind at 17.7%, good for 22nd in the National Hockey League. So the Flyers have the upper hand in that department. Now let's look at the defense, where Montreal gets a lot of help thanks to Carey Price. Philadelphia's 2.77 goals against per game were tied for 7th in the National Hockey League, while Montreal at 3.10 goals per game was tied for 19th in the NHL. Now, regular season Carey Price and playoff Carey Price are very two different animals. I think we saw that in that Penguin series, because the penalty kill for Philadelphia is, again, better than the Habs. 81.9% efficiency, 11th in the NHL. Montreal, 78.7% efficiency, 19th in the NHL. But for Montreal, it all comes down to Carey Price. So how did Carey Price do in the regular season? He went 27, 25, and 6 with a 2.79 goals against average, tied for 31st, and a 909 save percentage for 31st. But in that play-in series versus the Pittsburgh Penguins, he stood incredibly tall, including a shutout in the game-winning game number 4. So they won that series 3-1, and that was thanks to Carey Price. Now, who's Carey Price going to have to outnumber in saves and everything? That's going to be Carter Hart. He had a 24-13-3 record this year, a 2.42 goals against average for 8th in the league, and a 914 save percentage, good for 21st in the National Hockey League. Now, the Flyers, unlike the Bruins, play phenomenal hockey in the round robin, and they get arguably the easiest, put the asterisk there, an easiest matchup because of their play in the round robin. If the Flyers play their system and pound the net, they should take this one easily. But Carey Price is going to be that reason why the Flyers are not going to win this so easily. A lot of people are saying the Habs are going to lose this one in 4 or 5 games. No, I think the Flyers will win this series. I think they're going to the Stanley Cup Finals. But I think it will take 6 games to take down Carey Price. I think the Habs are hot right now. They have the momentum. And I don't think they have enough to pull off the upset. Well, it's definitely possible. I don't think it'll happen. I do believe that the Habs are special, thanks to Carey Price. But I think the red-hot magic and their Cinderella run fall short as they fall in 6 games to the Philadelphia Flyers, who I think are legit Stanley Cup contenders. I've been saying that for like the last 3 months. I said that in episode number 11 with Urinating Tree, and I'll say it again. Flyers are legit, and I'm glad they're finally getting the respect they deserve. Now a rematch of last year, number 2 Tampa versus number 9 Columbus, coming off that 5-game series win over the Maple Leafs. Oh, baby, that was fun to watch. And the Leafs today lost the draft lottery, so not a great day in Leafland last night and today, but Tampa Bay, last season, to recap it for everyone watching and listening, lost in 4 games, a sweep to the Columbus Blue Jackets. That was the Blue Jackets' first and only series win in playoff history, in their franchise's history. So can they repeat history this season? Let's talk about it. Firstly, Tampa was first in the National Hockey League with a 3.47 goals per game, while Columbus was 2.7 goals per game, was good for almost last at 27th in the National Hockey League. Now let's take a look at the power play. Fifth in the NHL is Tampa Bay, 23.2%. Columbus, 16.4, 27th in the National Hockey League. Let's take a look at the defense. Tampa, 2.77 goals against per game, tied for 7th in the NHL. They're great offensively. They're even, some say, even better defensively. Columbus, actually better than Tampa defensively, thanks to John Tortorella's system. 2.61 goals against per game, tied for 3rd in the NHL. And like we saw in that Leaf series, they could shut down elite talent. So Tampa needs to watch out for that. Now, I did say in the live stream today with Brandon Mackey that Toronto lost because they don't have a lot of puck-moving defensemen. Morgan Riley, Cody Cease hasn't really moved the puck. Tyson Barrie's a mess. I think Columbus with Werenski and Seth Jones will not have that problem to move the puck. So I think they will be able to score in this series. But having to go against the 14th best penalty kill in the league is definitely a boost to that offensive abilities. 81.4% efficiency for Tampa Bay, while Columbus has an 81.7% efficiency. So slightly better, but not incredibly better. But at the end of the day, we're looking at the defense, we're looking at the penalty kill, they're very similar. The power play, Tampa Bay has an overwhelming advantage thanks to Victor Hedman, who we don't know will even be in the series. He got injured yesterday with an ankle injury. We're going to get an update tomorrow, Tuesday, so we'll see what happens then as well. Stamkos is out. He probably should return, but we don't know. Those are two key injuries for Tampa Bay, and if they're not in the series, this could be a much different outcome than what I think it will be. Now, how will Tampa Bay overcome these injuries and just the overall idea of playing Columbus after last season? Well, Andrei Vasilevskiy had a 35-14-3 record, a 2.56 goals against average, and a .917 save percentage. That's why. Vasilevsky's on another level. Meanwhile, Jonas Korpisalo had 2 shutouts in the last play-in round against Toronto, with a 19-12-5 record, a 2.6 goals against average, and a .911 save percentage. Korpisalo probably will start this series because he started in Game 5, but his Lakers allowed those 3 goals in the last 4 minutes in Game 4, so I think Korpisalo will start the series. Now, the main matchup you want to watch in this series is Seth Jones and Zach Werenski against the top line of Tampa Bay. They were almost flawless against the Leafs, including a goal, the game-winning goal, by Zach Werenski in game number 5. They have another high-powered offensive stop, but I think this is one of the best defensive pairings in the NHL, and I don't think they're going to have a problem shutting down the top pairing for Tampa Bay and the top lines for Tampa Bay. Now, while the injury to Victor Hedman, which we don't know the length to yet, we're going to get an update tomorrow on Tuesday. We don't know the update yet for Victor Hedman. However, regardless of what happens, Sergachev, Coburn, McDonough, that defensive core is going to need to fill the void of Victor Hedman if, in fact, he needs to be out for a little bit due to an injury. So overall, Chief Editor Noah Luden thinks the Lightning wins in 6 games. I think Tampa wins in 7, just because of how well defensively and how sound defensively Columbus played in that first play-in series against Toronto. That's a high-powered offense. Tampa Bay is better offensively, but it's still similar. There's elite talent coming at you, and I think Werenski and Jones are up to the challenge. But at the end of the day, I think that goaltending is incredibly better. Vasilevskiy is one of the best goaltenders in the world. The penalty kill is even, so there's no advantage there for Columbus, and the offense for Tampa Bay is just on another level. So I think Columbus will be able to hang with them, especially after last season. And I think Tampa just has the upper edge. They don't want to lose another series to Columbus. I think it'll be in 7, but it will be very close. I'm interested to see how many times John Tortorella loses his mind on the bench. To be fair, if he loses his mind, last time he did that to Pierre-Luc Dubois, he lost his mind on the bench to Pierre-Luc Dubois. Last time that happened, Dubois in the next game responded with a hat trick, including the overtime winner. So, Tortorella, some may not like him, but he gets results, and I can respect the hell out of that. Now let's get to the next series. Number 3, Washington versus the New York Islanders. Jean-Gabriel Pageau with 3 goals in the last series against the Florida Panthers, where Sergei Bobrovsky was not the best. Now let's take a look at the offense for Washington. A 3.42 goals per game, tied for second in the National Hockey League in the regular season, while New York, 2.78 goals per game, 22nd in the NHL. But keep in mind, Pageau did not play much for New York, for the New York Islanders in the regular season. So you add Pageau to that, and suddenly looks a lot better for the Islanders. The power play for the Washington Capitals is not great at 19.4% for 17th in the league, while the Islanders are 17.3, 24th in the NHL. Defensively, Washington is much worse. 18th in the league with 3.07 goals against per game. The Islanders 2.79 goals against per game, good for 9th in the National Hockey League. Defensively, New York is the better team. The penalty kill for the Capitals, though, 82.6%, tied for 6th in the league, is better than the Islanders' 15th penalty kill at 80.7, but it is close. And the Islanders, with Barry Trotz, you can never count out Barry Trotz. On the goaltending, this one's interesting. Braden Holtby did not have the greatest season this year. An .897 save percentage, 3.11 goals against average, 25-14-6 record. Varlamov, on the other hand, a 19-4-6 record, 2.62 goals against average, and a .914 save percentage. Now, honestly, Braden Holtby had an atrocious season. He needs to bring back his play from 2018, the year they went to the Stanley Cup final. The year they won the Stanley Cup. That's the Braden Holtby the Washington Capitals need to win this series. Now, you look at the big matchup between the second best offense and the 9th ranked defense. Can Barry Trotz beat his former club? Chief editor Noah Luden thinks so. He thinks the Isles win in 7. I think the Caps win in 7. I think the offense for Washington is too good. I think Ovechkin is going to be too hungry. And while I think there's a good chance the Islanders could win the series, I think Holtby rights his wrongs. I think he turns it around in this playoff series in the first round. And I think the Islanders come up just short. I think maybe even double overtime Game 7. It's going to be very close. We saw what happened last year in Game 7 with the Carolina Hurricanes with Washington. But I do think this is the year for Washington. I think they can advance past the first round this year, and I think the Islanders, they're going to have a really, really close series, but I think Holtby's going to be able to turn it around, and that's going to be just enough for the Capitals to win this series. Now let's get to the next series. It's Boston. Oh, stupid camera. Boston versus Carolina. Now, this series, a lot of people are not going to like who I think wins this series, but I'll tell you why after. Boston, 3.24 goals against per game, 9th in the NHL. Carolina, 3.19 goals against per game, goals per game, 11th in the NHL. The power play, both close again. 25.2% for Boston at 2nd in the NHL, while Carolina, 22.8 for 8th in the NHL. Let's take a look at the defense. This is where Boston has the overwhelming advantage. Boston's 2.3 goals against per game is good for 1st in the National Hockey League, while Carolina 2.84 goals against per game, not terrible, is tied for 11th, but definitely worse than Boston. Now the penalty kill, they're effectively the same, while Boston's 3rd in the NHL, Carolina's 4th. Boston with 84.2, Carolina with 84, so the penalty kill is very much the same. So we take a look at the goaltending, which is key. Tuukka Rask, 26-8-6 on the year, a 2.12 goals against average, good for 1st in the league, a .929 save percentage, good for 2nd in the league. Peter Mrazek, 21-16-2, a 2.69 goals against average, and a .905 save percentage. Now, here's where people are not going to like what I have to say. Carolina has all the momentum. Despite Boston's statistical advantage, they swept the young, talented Rangers, Carolina did. Boston went 0-3 in the round robin and is not playing their best hockey, which isn't what we expect from the President Trophy winners. Now, I understand it's the round robin, who cares, right? But if Carolina continues this momentum, I think they're going to win this series. Mrazek was absolutely stellar against a really good Rangers team. That defensive core for Carolina shut down Mika Zibanejad. They shut down Artemi Panarin. They shut down Reinstrom. They shut down Kakko. They shut down Kreider. They shut down Adam Fox. Why can't they shut down the top line in Boston? Many people will not like what I have to say with this. Noah thinks they win in 6. I think the Hurricanes are going to win this in 6 too. I think Boston should win. I think the Hurricanes have all the momentum in the world. Svechnikov, Aho, they're elite. That defensive core is legit. And I think Carolina is going on a little run this year. I like their chances. Now let's move on to the Western Conference, where you can see I'm wearing a Vegas jersey. Vegas takes on Chicago. Robin Lehner faces his former team. Now, offense for Vegas this year was pretty good. 13th in the league with 3.15 goals per game, while Chicago was 2.97 goals per game, good for 18th. The power play for Vegas, you may ask, 9th in the league at 22%. For Chicago, one of the worst in the National Hockey League at 15.2% for 28th. The defense, Vegas at 2.94 goals against per game, while Chicago at 3.06 goals against per game. The penalty kill, this is where Chicago has one of the only upper hands in the series. Chicago's penalty kill is better at 9th in the NHL with 82.1%, while Vegas is at 76.6%, good for 27th, which is really shocking considering how good of a team Vegas is. I do believe that might have to do with Fleury. He had a really up and down season. Speaking of Fleury, a 27-16-5 record this year, a 2.77 goals against average, and a 905 save percentage is not going to cut it. I do believe Robin Lehner will take the reins in net at some point in this series. I don't like Fleury. He's going back to the 2014-2015 Fleury with the Penguins, where first round exits was expected for him. I don't know what's happened to Fleury. He always goes through this. Sometimes he's hot, sometimes he's cold. You have to catch him when he's hot, because when he's cold, he is cold. So I think Robin Lehner will end up starting some games in the series. But Fleury will be the starting goalie in Game 1, I'm sure. Corey Crawford has been the rock for the Chicago Blackhawks. 16-20-3, 2.77 goals against average, and a 917 save percentage. That playing around against Edmonton, where they upset the Edmonton Oilers, he was absolutely phenomenal, and he stopped Draisaitl and McDavid immensely. A lot of chances were thwarted by Corey Crawford. It's another series where the Hawks are the underdogs. So their winning condition stays the same. They're the underdogs. Their veterans have to lead by example. Kane and Taves are the keys to this team's success. Not to mention players, Rookie of the Year potentially Kubalik, Dylan Strome, Brandon Saad. But like Philadelphia, Vegas just needs to play simple hockey. They need to play Vegas hockey. They have a way deeper team. A solid team all around. Marc-Andre Fleury has to step it up, though. He's had a tough season, and if he doesn't turn it around, Robin Lehner will take the net, and he will lead the Vegas Golden Knights to the second round. I think Vegas wins this one in 5 games. I don't like Chicago in this series. I think they're outnumbered in every single aspect. I think Mark Stone is an incredible talent. I think Robin Lehner, if Robin Lehner plays in this series, I think he will steal some games for them. Even Fleury can steal some games. But I think Kane and Taves are going to have a tough time. I think Unlike Edmonton, I think Vegas has the experience needed to push and overcome the adversity that Edmonton had to go through. That's why I like them. I say they win in 5. Chief Editor No Luden says in 6. Now let's get to the next series. It is the Colorado Avalanche versus the Arizona Coyotes. Oh-hoo! Sorry, I wanted to do a little howl there. Sorry for the headphone users on the pod. This is also being uploaded to the podcast, so sorry for the headphone users there. Now let's take a look at the offenses comparable. So 3.37 goals per game for Colorado, good for 4th in the NHL, while Arizona 2.71 goals per game, good for 23rd. But they were scoring a lot of goals. In fact, they scored like more than 4 or 5 in a few of those games against Nashville. Taylor Hall looked decent. Phil Kessel looked good, and the power play for Arizona in the regular season was actually better, 19.2%, while Colorado surprisingly was 19.1%. On the defense, this is where Colorado is really unexpectedly really good. 2.71 goals against per game, good for 6th in the league. But Arizona, thanks to Darcy Kemper's incredible season, 2.61 goals against per game, tied for 3rd. The penalty kill, Colorado again has the advantage. Sorry, I read that wrong. Sorry, Arizona has the advantage. They have 82.7% on the penalty kill, good for 5th in the league, while Colorado 81.4, 13th. But once again, I think Darcy Kemper has improved those numbers because of his stellar play. Now, Philip Grubauer for the Colorado Avalanche had an 18-12-4 record, a 2.63 goals against average, and was tied for 17th in goals against average and a 916 save percentage, tied for 18th. While Darcy Kemper had a Vezina caliber season before injuries, at a 16-11-2 record, a 2.22 goals against average, and a 928 save percentage. The result of this series comes down to how well the Coyotes will play. Their defense is under pressure because they're facing a top offensive line in Colorado with players such as Landeskog, Rantanen, and of course McKinnon. Kemper, like that defense, has the same exact pressure because he has to go against the top line. He has to go against Cale Makar. And let's talk about that depth. Nazem Kadri on the second line. Vlad Nemestikov is even there. Colorado is just dirty, incredibly dirty with offensive talent. But for the Coyotes, they acquired Taylor Hall. They have Phil Kessel, who they also acquired in the offseason. And these acquisitions have looked, at best, mediocre. The top guys for this Arizona offense need to improve, and they need to improve now if they have any chance to take down the Colorado Avalanche. So, at the end of the day, for the Avalanche, this team is a top Stanley Cup contender. They're a great team with great offense and a great goaltending and great defense. What does Arizona have? A really, really good goaltender and above average offense. What do I think happens here? I think the Avs win in 6. Noah thinks the Avs win in 5. I think Kemper will steal them games. I think Darcy Kemper will keep them in games. And I think Hall and Kessel will really surprise, and, Clayton Keller too. I think they're really going to surprise and get some goals. But I think Colorado's too good. I think they're too fast, and I think they win this series. Now let's get to the next series, Calgary versus Dallas. With the Calgary Flames versus the Dallas Stars. Well, Dallas in the round robin was third, while Calgary took down the Winnipeg Jets thanks to Scheifele and Laine being injured in that series. Well, Matthew Tkachuk had a good series, but let's be honest, Winnipeg probably should have won that series. Regardless, I'll put some respect on Calgary's name. They really did play well that series, and good for them for, finally having some playoff success. Now let's see if it continues in the first round of the real Stanley Cup playoffs. So the offense for Dallas wasn't great this year. Jamie Benn didn't have the greatest year. Dallas had 2.58 goals per game, good for 26th in the league, while Calgary had 2.91 goals per game, good for 20th in the league. The power play, once again, it's very mediocre, and Calgary has the slightest advantage at 21.2%, while Dallas is at 21.1%. The defense, this is where the Dallas Stars, the star shines for Dallas. The defense for Dallas at 2.52 goals against per game, good for second in the league. Calgary 3.06 goals against per game, good for tied for 16th. The penalty kill, Calgary has the upper hand in that department at 82.1%, while Dallas is 79.7%. Now, let's get to the goaltending. Ben Bishop is clearly the best goalie in this matchup with a 21-16-4 record, a 2.50 goals against average, and a 920 save percentage. The former Ottawa Senator, I miss him very dearly. Now, Cam Talbot, a 12-10-1 record, a 2.63 goals against average, and a 919 save percentage are very similar numbers. And on top of that, Cam Talbot had a really good play-in series against the Winnipeg Jets. Now, I know that didn't have Scheifele. I know they didn't have Laine. They still had Ehlers. They still had Connor. They still had Blake Wheeler. Those are not bad players. Those are pretty good players. And he made some impeccable stops off of all of them. So, Cam Talbot is certainly not the best goalie in the series, but he certainly is a serviceable one. And I think he proved in that play-in series that he is a really good goaltender. But I think both these teams have offensive talent, but they struggle to put pucks in the net. You look at Calgary with Monahan, Gaudreau, Lindholm, even Matthew Tkachuk at times. He had a really good season, but without everyone going, how is he supposed to create all the offense? He isn't Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby, right? So, but the same could be said for the Dallas Stars. The star doesn't shine so bright offensively for the Stars. It's Ben, Sagan, Radulov. Radulov and Sagan had decent years, but Ben had a down season. Their offense isn't looking good. But this is going to be a goalie duel between Bishop and Talbot, and I think Bishop wins that for sure. And then you also need to look at the defensive comparison. 2.52 goals against per game against a team that doesn't score a lot of goals and struggles to score goals. I think the Stars win this one in 6. I think the Dallas Stars defense shuts down the Calgary Flames offense. I think Bishop makes the saves they need. I think Sagan, Radulov, Ben, all the guys on the offense for Dallas gets the goals that are needed. I think Heiskanen will really shine in the playoffs like a star, shine bright like a diamond, I guess. But I think the Stars win this one in 6. Noah thinks they win in 7. But honestly, I think when you put one of the best defenses against a struggling offense, I think it's obvious you got to pick that defense to win over that offense. But once again, I was wrong once about Calgary. Maybe I'll be wrong again. Now let's get to the last matchup. It is the defending Stanley Cup champions, the St. Louis Blues, against the Vancouver Canucks. And the Canucks had a great series against Minnesota. They won it with in the first 11 seconds, and then Game 4, they won that series 3-1. They had a really good series against Minnesota, but it is Minnesota. So let's get to this offensive comparison where St. Louis had a little bit of a down season at 3.14 goals per game. Keep in mind, Tarasenko is nearly out for 80% of the season, maybe 90% of the season. So Tarasenko is back. So those numbers are going to be much better. While Vancouver, 3.25 goals per game, is 8th in the league, and that's expected. Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson, Bo Horvat. You got all these talented players. You're expected to score some goals. Not mentioning Quinn Hughes, and that is unfathomable. Because let's take a look at the power play. Vancouver's 4th in the NHL for 24.1%. Thanks to Quinn Hughes manning that blue line. He's the quarterback that Vancouver has always needed. Quinn Hughes, probably him or Cale Makar will win the Calder in my opinion. But Quinn Hughes is just another level. He's an elite talent. He's so fun to watch. St. Louis are 24.3 third, so the power play is very even. Now this is where St. Louis starts to take a little bit of an upper hand. The St. Louis's defense is much better, 2.68 goals per game, 5th in the league, while Vancouver's 3.10 goals per game is tied for 19th. The penalty kill, Vancouver has a slight advantage at 80.5% for 16th, while St. Louis 79.3 for 18th. This is key. This is a key matchup for the series. Jacob Markstrom for the Vancouver Canucks, 23, 16, and 4, a 2.75 goals against average, and a 918, pardon me, I don't know why I keep on stuttering, a 918 save percentage. Unfortunately, though, Markstrom did not have the greatest series against Minnesota. Yes, he had that shutout, but he also allowed like 4 terrible goals in that Game 4 against Minnesota. Meanwhile, Jordan Binnington, fresh off of shocking everyone in the NHL last season, an incredible season again, a 30, 13, and 7 record, a 2.56 goals against average, and a 912 save percentage. The save percentage is low, but the goals against average is pretty good. This will be the biggest test yet for the young and talented core for the young Vancouver Canucks. Not only are they facing a top 5 defensive team, but they're also playing the defending Stanley Cup champions. This is the time for players, young players, such as Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, Quinn Hughes, to step up and show that they really are the elite talents they are, and they have that clutch gene needed for elite players. St. Louis has to take advantage of the Canucks' weak spot on defense. The Blues are a veteran team coming off a Stanley Cup championship, so they should be able to figure that out because they have that experience. Jordan Binnington, after a slow start in the round robin, is looking to rebound and start that cup defense strongly against the Vancouver Canucks, and I think they will. I think the Blues win this one in 6. Noah thinks they win this one in 5. I love Vancouver. I think Brock Besser, I think Elias Pettersson, I think Quinn Hughes, they're so good. I just don't think this is the year. I think this is the year where they learn, they get that experience. Next year, watch out for the Canucks. They may even add some players in that offseason, may add some players on that draft. They're going to come back firing next year. I think that's the year Vancouver can make some noise. But that's it. Now let me read to you my bracket, producer lad, if you wanted to put that on the screen. A lot of people already commented on this. Not many people were impressed with it, but also a lot of people were. So I got a lot of mixed reviews, which is what I'm trying to say. So Philadelphia versus Montreal. I think Philadelphia wins to face the Carolina Hurricanes. I think Carolina versus Philadelphia in the second round will be really, really fun. Offense versus defense there. Offense. Goaltender versus goaltender. It's a great matchup. I think Tampa takes on the Washington Capitals. Now, who's going to be in the conference finals? Don't yell at me, everyone in the comment section. I think it's going to be Tampa Bay versus Philadelphia in the conference finals for the East. And let's head over to the West. It is Vegas versus Chicago. We already know that, so I'm going to get to the second round. I think Vegas plays St. Louis. I think St. Louis wins. I think their cup pedigree, their cup hunger, and on top of that, Tarasenko returning to the lineup will be too much. Now, let's talk about the next second round series. It's going to be Colorado versus Dallas. I think Colorado is incredible. I think their offense is legit. I think they're going to be the Stanley Cup champions this year. They take down the Dallas Stars. Your conference final matchups, Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, St. Louis, Colorado. I think Colorado and Philadelphia advance to the Stanley Cup finals where 42 goals will be scored and the Avs will win the Stanley Cup. That is my bracket. Please let me know in the comment section below what you think. But besides that, thank you all for watching. Please follow us on Twitter at SENS_, for live days of the games and of course breaking news. Please like us on Facebook at SENS. Add us to our circles on Google Plus SENS. Click the big red button down there and subscribe to us. Like this video, share this video of Circle Stuff, and of course, be sure to check out the Best of 7 podcast. We make episodes every single week. It's so fun to do. We have great guests. Last week we had hockey legend Sean Burke. Can you believe that? Sean Burke joined the show. So make sure to watch that episode and every other one. We have so many great guests. And besides that, I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy this playoff hockey. If you're not hyped, you better be, because hockey's back. Hockey is on another level right now. And you know what? I gotta say, the Tarps haven't bothered me too much. I'm actually really impressed with the NHL and how they've done a good job in these hub cities. So good on the NHL for that. And good luck to all these teams in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I look forward to seeing who advances. I'll see you in the next one. Go Sens go, and good luck. Make sure to stay safe and healthy. I'll see you next time.